Bonachristus, Umeogu, a supremely intelligent genius of Christ, a thoroughgoing Catholic priest, an original philosopher, a spiritual master, an expert in metaphysics, logic, theodicy, and mathematical philosophy. He is a professor of philosophy and currently the foundation director of Igbo Village and Center for African Civilization in Nnamdi University, Oka. I am your uncle, Moke Kinsley Ogochukwu. In this YOUTH TV, we'll be discussing on the theme, the youth and cultural identity predicaments. At this juncture, Prof, can you tell us what cultural identity is in relation to the youth?
First of all, culture has to do with the ideas, the norms, the traditions, the social behaviors that identify a people as a group. So we need to note that these things must be taken in a collective sense, not in a differential sense, in an integral sense. Now, in terms of identity, identity has to do with what something is or who somebody is. It's not something that can be fabricated or fashioned. It's one that emerges from within. So by cultural identity, we mean that existential belongingness through which, through self-conception, through self-perception, one is able to claim his belongingness to a group. So by belonging to the group, he exists, he is. And I must say that it is something very complex. And in reference to the youth, I must make it clear that the youth today must be very careful about cultural identity, because there were a lot of loss of cultural values among the youth. And it is something that is a predicament, just like you mentioned that in the title. It's a predicament, and it is something that we must take a lot of time to reconstruct in a positive way. I have found out that for a people to develop a culture, there must be problems. Indeed, to be sure, it is in their bid to provide solutions to their problems that ideas, customs, practices, theories, and all that come up. So you see that cultural identity must involve those things that are either invented or discovered in the bid to solve the problems of life. And it is something very serious, not only in reference to the youth, also in reference to the adults. So we have to be very careful, like in Nigeria now, where animals are being brought up into the banks to swallow money, or in jumbo offices, where they can even chase their presidents out of the offices. So we must be careful about some of these cultural changes. Thank you very much.
The implication of what you just explained is that the youths are not cultureless. It could be that they have lost their cultural values. And I think the question is a cross-cultural tendency one of the causes of this loss of cultural values?
You used a very important word now, cultureless. By being cultureless, we mean that somebody has no tie to reality, that the person has no tie to norms, to ideas, to traditions. In other words, that the person has no background, that the person's back is now on the ground. So I don't feel that the youth is cultureless because we all come from somewhere. That's why we must be very careful and sensitive to represent our background, because without the background, there's no foreground. So I will challenge the youth of today to take up his or her destiny in hands and be able to fulfill that destiny and not to betray that. Because you find out that loss of cultural values can lead to betrayal of destiny. Because it's like when somebody is cultureless, the person is floating, the person is being carried away. One does not know even from where the person came from or to where the person is going to. The person is in a kind of nebulous identity. So to be and to belong, it is possible, or well, it is imperative that every youth must be rooted in his or her culture. Because without the culture, there will be nothing. Even in reference to even culture as a refinement, even when you are looking for the better things of life, that should not make you to reject who you are, where you are coming from. And you talked about cross-cultural values. I must say that it's a very serious factor in cultural change, both externally and internally. That one is bound to meet with people from different affiliations. One is bound to meet people from different ethnic and national affiliations. So it is imperative that one should be himself or herself, not be swept away by what you may call confusing alarms of struggle and flight. That's by McDonald, the Dove Beach. So I will simply say that the youth must be very careful so as not to lose his or her identity in all these cross-cultural experiences. Now, to cross over from a culture to another culture, even in Nigeria, it's already a reality. Because you see, I said that there is no one culture that can answer Nigerian culture. The Igbo culture cannot answer Nigerian culture. The Yoruba culture cannot answer. The Hausa culture cannot answer, no matter the pretensions. So there is the need for us, as we come together, there should be a kind of cultural integration, what we may call cultural diffusion. And in that diffusion, certain things will be lost, and let these things be among the things that divide us. But let us retain the things that unite us in our cultures, and in a superior positive cultural integration. So I would say that for us to carpet cross into other cultures, we should be careful. That's why we should be founded in our cultures, so that when this kind of confrontation comes, we will not lose our heads. Somebody once said that you should not lose your head, even if others are losing their heads and blaming it on you. You must always trust yourself, even when others doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. You shouldn't dream, make dreams your master. So I will simply say that the youth must be careful in his or her experiences and confrontations and contacts, so as to remain the person you are, and don't allow the circumstance to change you, because it can change you beyond recognition. And I found out that it is in reference to these cultural changes that you can find some of these problems of cultural identity crisis. Like you see that most of our youth, or the youth of today, is unfulfilled. Not only in reference to the lack of jobs or unemployment, we find out that real sense of fulfillment is not there. You see such identity crisis To the extent that even in other parts of the world, such youths commit suicide. See, you see a youth trying to contemplate to kill himself or herself. And if you're a youth under the influence of this particular program, this high youth television, which is meant to help the youth discover and fulfill the destiny involved in their lives. So I must make it clear that if you're a youth under the influence of this particular program and they are contemplating out of frustration to take away your life, know that God owns your life. And today, by a special anointing of this particular program, God will help you to re-establish your life, to fulfill your life, and to become the person you are meant to be. That's my prayer for you. So all these cases of unfulfillment, loss of positions, backwardness, and loss of identities, I think a proper grounding on our culture. And when I mean our culture, you see, at times when I say this, I'm not very comfortable. Because are you talking about Nigerian culture? Or Igbo culture, or Yoruba culture? I think the youth in Nigeria is in a predicament because there is no true Nigerian culture. That's why all sorts of things are now coming in to define Nigerian cultural identity. I think about a monkey taking 70 million. It's a human monkey. So it's some of these ways of bringing in familiar animals into what we are doing. It's a kind of necromancy, kind of an anachronism. You see a mysterious snake, maybe a holy snake, swallowing 36 million. You see, so let us be careful about some of these things. I would say that cross cultural experiences are very important. The Igbo say no, I don't know if we so that migrant mentality must be there. But let us be careful so that we don't become strangers to ourselves. Thank you very much.
Can you differentiate between this cultural, cross-cultural tendency with that of cultural globalization? What effects do they have on the youths?
In terms of cultural globalization, we are talking about the exchange of norms, ideas, and values globally. Globally, in reference to this idea of the world becoming a global village. But you find out that such a global culture is an omnivorous culture, it's an all-eating culture. You see, there is a problem I have in what we call cross-cultural exchange, especially when it becomes global, that a culture can swallow another culture. What we call cultural imperialism. I think of this Western culture, for instance, where you have these secular cultural underpinnings. If you I remember a child, I feel that a youth between childhood and the adulthood, this youth was asked to make a choice between God and football. So let us go into some specifics. Let's not just talk in abstract. Like the culture of football is something terrible, and it's an imported culture into Nigerian culture, into Igbo culture, into Yoruba culture, into Hausa culture. But you see, that culture is trying to swallow a good number of other things. Now, this youth was asked, not even a Nigerian youth or an African youth, a British child was asked between God and football, choose one. And the youth chose football. So that is a terrible something. So let us be careful. And there's also another aspect of that erosion again. An American youth was also told to choose between the church and the internet, and he chose the internet. Then after all, why should I go to the church? I can get all these things from my PC. So let us be careful about some of these cross-cultural carpetings. There was a boy who came to me and asked me, "Father, please help me to be free from my television. So he is already addicted to watching. He can watch movies from day to day, week to week. It's a terrible something. How can somebody stay all night watching movie? And in the day you will be weak. You will abandon your works, even your study, just to watch movie. And you see, they have arranged such movies that they just come on and on and on. And see. So let us point at certain examples to make what we are saying very clear. So there is the danger of cultural imperialism, a culture swallowing another culture. And it will not be good for one culture to destroy another culture, especially for a bad culture to destroy a good culture. Like the idea of the secularization of cultures. That automatically is coming from what we call the death of God. There is this kind of philosophy or science or technology that tells you that God is dead. You will ask, who killed God? The answer will be scientific ingenuity killed God. Where was he buried? He was buried in the churchyard, in the church. So you see, that kind of mentality is not a very wonderful mentality, because I must also say that at the end of the day, God is the supreme foundation of all cultures of the world. Because in God we live and move and have our being. That's why in most cultures, the spiritual aspect is always very strong in terms of institutions and traditions. You can't go against them. So let us be careful about how we go about some of these things. I will say that globalizing culture will be good, because at the end of the day, humanity is one. The religion of humanity is love. It is unity. So we are happy that we are all coming together. But our coming together should not be that of a wolf against wolf. One should not be a culture should not be a wolf front another culture. That's why I always insist on saying, let us know those things that unite us and have a kind of a cultural unity or synthesis along those lines. But about those things that divide us, let us find a way to make them less. Indeed, to be precise, if we see cultural suicide in reference to those things, that's okay. That's okay. Bad culture must be destroyed for the good culture. That was why I've always brought up this principle of hermeneutics, cultural hermeneutics, especially at the intercultural level. Because by that principle, we'll be able to interpret, research and interpret into the cultures to find out the good cultural traits that must be maintained and the bad ones that must be extirpated or exterminated. So, like in the past, let me use Igbo culture for instance. In the past, there's this culture of killing twins or burying the dead with the human heads. So these things are not good. See, if we continue with that, you destroy a whole nation. So we need to generate certain cultural hermeneutical principles that can allow us to research into our culture and see those things that will make us to live and enhance them, but those ones that kill us should be destroyed. Just as I have pointed out at some of these things. At the intercultural level, that's where the cross-cultural experience and influence will come in. That's where the globalization of culture will come in. There must be an intercultural principle of hermeneutics that can bring about cultural integration so that we can still remain the person we are. Because the problem with some of these cross-cultural competencies is to lose one's identity, to become nobody, to become nothing, to be unfulfilled, even to contemplate suicide. So let us, that's why I will encourage tribes, nations, even at the international levels, let us build up commissions and ministries of some of these principles of cultural hermeneutics and intercultural hermeneutics, so as to research into various cultures and see a way to bring out the things that unite us and build our identity on them, our cultural identity on them, and reject those ones that divide us or that cause wars here and there, so as to have peace in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, don't you think that culture is as a result of mental construction and a constraint, a conjuncture, an arbitrary social convention that has no implication on people since it is not necessary, the changes. So I have every right, I have what it takes to form my own culture, and if I can convince people, and if they should follow my own way, it becomes culture.
I see what you mean. In reference to what we call subcultural manifestations of cultures, I will need to sound the caveat there, a kind of warning that even though culture is invented, but I think the background or the principle of that invention is based on reality. That's why geographical locations determine the sense of culture or the context of culture. Culture is localized. Culture has a boundary. I said before that cultures are evolved when men meet with problems of life and they are seeking for solutions to such problems. So, culture is something you develop or you discover in solving the problems of life. So they cannot be arbitrary. That's what I want to say. Even though they are generated, the very logic of their being cannot be arbitrary, cannot be mechanical, because it involved the human mind in search of reality for solutions. And that's why I have to tie culture again to the foundation of God. And once God is involved as the vital principle of the human life, culture cannot be arbitrary. So I will simply say that culture as ideas, as values, as customs, as traditions, as social behaviors, and things like that, they are grounded in reality, not in illusion. So it's not something that you can just rise up and construct. It's something that reality makes you to construct. So it is something you do along the lines of the demands of reality. So because if it is something that you can just go about and fashion as you like, that's why I said identity cannot be fabricated or fashioned. It emerges from within, from the reality of the person. So also cultural identity must emerge from the reality of a people. That's why I said culture must be identified collectively. There can be no private, you come within people, you see so many cultures. That's why when you see so many subcultures that are outlandish within a culture, like hippies in America, for instance, or these are homosexuals, with the reality. For instance, let me give you an example. If you look into human nature, God created them male and female. Et creavit Deus hominem ad imaginem suam. Genesis 1 verse 27. Et creavit Deus hominem ad imaginem suam. Masculum et feminam creavit Eos. You find out that as soon as you talk about that kind of creation, you see, man is made in the image of God, male and female, he made them. So now, when you now want to create a culture for man and woman, that culture must take into consideration man and woman and God. So to now come and you take man away, you say now, a man must now marry a man. A man must now have a man as his spouse. So it's unnatural. So that very one is arbitrary. Or you can say, because you see, God made them in his own image, his likeness, and made them male and female. So culture must respect nature. Even though there must be nature in nature, culture must respect reality, must respect nature, must respect things as they are, as they give themselves out. That's why there's what they call the principle of all principles. Allow what gives itself out to be understood only in the manner in which that thing has given itself out to you to understand. Do not impose arbitrary points on that. So you need. I want to show that culture cannot be arbitrary. It's not just a mental construct that has no foundation in reality. So culture must be founded in reality to be true, to be real. That's why it was possible for people to say that God is dead. And why they want to remove God from culture is for them to do what they like, to enter into more arbitrary constructions. And it is unacceptable. And so we want to say that. So if you're a youth and you are in the habit of just doing what you like, or going into the culture to take what you like and reject what you don't like, make sure you are guided by the principle of reality. Because you can end up in a position where you become a stranger, not only to your culture, but to yourself. You see that you embarrass yourself and you remain unfulfilled. There will be crisis, identity crisis. So, just like what normally happens if you refer to white culture or black culture, somebody once talked about Afro-Puritanism, where you use blackness. You see, some even black Americans will not want to be addressed as African Americans. So it's identity crisis. You see, you want to estrange yourself from your roots. I don't see why a black American will say that he has nothing to do with Africa. See, but you are a buffalo soldier taken from Africa, brought into America, fighting on arrival, fighting for survival, as Bonachristus would say. So I would simply say that we should be careful about some of these lines and make sure that we return culture onto reality so as to become the person we are meant to be, not to become other persons. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, by implication, are you in any way saying that Nigerian youth have lost their cultural values?
I will say, which cultural value? That's the question. Which cultural value? Are you talking about the cultural values of their ethnic nationalities, or that of Nigeria?
Nigeria.
I do that. I'm afraid that there is not a true Nigerian cultural value or cultural identity. That's why the Nigerian youth today is unfulfilled.
Let's bring
it's an identity crisis.
Igbo to be precise.
Even for instance, how many Igbo people can speak the Igbo language very well? So language is a core ingredient of culture. Language. So when you reject your language, you can see somebody who is an Igbo living in Lagos, for instance. If you put an examination in Igbo language, you get 0. If you put the same examination in Yoruba language, you get 100. What kind of thing is that? You can see a parent who will say, no, we don't speak Igbo to my children. See, they are total strangers. They're total strangers. How can you as a parent say that you do not speak Igbo language to your children? It's a crime. It's a cultural crime. So if you go from that language, there is this thing you call Igbo. I think it has cross-capitated into almost all the cultures. If you see the Hausa people speaking now, they put English. See the Yoruba people, they speak English. Not only the Igbo people agree to that. But I think it is a cultural aberration. Want to speak English? Yes, English is allowed. It has become a cultural language in Nigeria. A Nigerian cultural language. It has its own identity factors. So you can speak English, but also speak your native languages very well. Now, outside of language as a core ingredient of culture, you also so something like dressing code. Now, if you see an Igbo person right now, can you, through the habit, we say to close one fashion monk, habit does not make a monk, but again, without the habit, you cannot know a monk. So if you see now an Igbo youth, just from the way he or she appears, we'll be able to say this is an Igbo youth. And not only the youth, also the adult also. So I'm not saying that we should all be tying wrapper or loincloths and going about. No, there will be evolution. Once there is evolution, there will be evolution, but let there not be devolution. So I think we should evolve certain dress codes that to be indigenous, to not only to the Igbo people, but also to the youth in particular. So you see somebody who is in this particular attire and is a youth between childhood and adulthood, you now say this is an Igbo youth, not because of the way he or she has dressed. Now, in reference to marriage, you see, so many things happen. You can see people like, you can see Igbo spouses living together without even the bride price. So you'll be wondering, what is it all about? We are not saying that the Igbo culture must determine marriage completely, because as a priest, I must insist that people must marry in the church, the sacramental way. But the natural tradition that is good must be observed. There are variations, those ones they do not concern us, but the natural tradition must be that is must be observed. Like this idea of bride price, for instance, the church does not condemn paying bride price. What you do, abandon that kind of culture to imbibe the Western culture, whereby you can just see somebody, you go to the court and you're marrying the person, even against the family intention of that particular person. I'm not saying that the family should arrange or do family pressure, you must marry. No, I'm saying that we should do things systematically according to tradition and culture. Thank God again, if there is any church that is good, that church must be traditional also. So that's another, when I mean traditional, I don't mean going into idolatry and things like that. I mean tradition that is in keeping with the sacred scriptures, the Bible, just like the Catholic Church has. So I will simply say that we can go on and on and on and on and on. But the most important thing is to note that do not do things arbitrarily. Do not just do what you like, as you like. Anything for also, those who saw ever also, only case in me. So I'm against this arbitrary determination of culture without a reference to reality, without reference to God, without reference to life. So you can go about that. Okay, what about this idea of putting God out of business? Putting God out of business. For instance, I must tell the Igbo people, if you do you will give me the Igbo context. In the past, afia more than mad. Mad nazu more nazu. Afia no was na Igbo jiribili. But you find out that that's why in every Igbo market there must be a place for the spirit, for the deity. In most markets they answer the names of deities. Now, why is it that today we have expelled God from the markets? There is nothing wrong in building small chapels in the market areas, even assigning chaplains who are priests to those those chapels. Because in the past, and that's why in the market now you have all sorts of things. People tell lies as they like. People can bring in all sorts of things. Somebody can even bring fake drugs that can kill people just to take money and go. So the issue of morality, that quality in human acts, Bible should call them good or bad, right or wrong, that quality that makes man man. So that quality has been lost. Anywhere you see people throwing away God, they want to act in an arbitrary fashion. Because once God comes in, things must be done in order. That's the point. So they don't want God because they want to do what they like. They want culture to be whatever they like. Yeah. So let us stop acting arbitrarily. It is very important to note that culture must be rooted in reality. That's the point I want to make. And I thank God I've made that point clearly. Culture must be rooted in reality. So whether you are a Yoruba youth or an Hausa youth or an Igbo youth, try to be inserted in your culture. And as you cross-carpet into the Nigerian culture, that's why it's a problem. Wonder who will help us build the Nigerian culture. I think the little things we felt as Nigerian culture when the European people were here. Like this language, for instance, this English language, and other things. See, and I want to make this point very clear that for us really to get the true Nigerian culture, every allocation or appointment must be representative of the people of Nigeria. So if you make allocations where only some people are favored, others are totally neglected or segregated, you cannot build a Nigerian culture based on that. You can't. So we have to really to build the Nigerian culture by representing all the groups that are involved, all the stakeholders in their locations, so that as we work together, we'll be able to build the culture. That's why I thank God. Culture is not something arbitrary. It's something that is organic. It connects you and they're connected by that. That's why reality must come up in culture, not your convenience. So I will simply summarize by saying that let us be careful about culture in Nigeria. It is very important for us really to be good citizens of various cultures. But when it comes to Nigerian culture, that must unite us together. Or even as we go into another culture that unite the Africans together. For instance, Africa is also suffering some form of cultural identity crisis. Are we Africans by soil or by blood? And somebody once said that the African is pre-logical, the African cannot think logically. And he said that in the curious work called primitive mentality, if I grew. Primitive mentality. So that as Africans, we have primitive mentality. A white person said that. That's why again, is culture white or black? Culture is culture. Cannot be white or black. I say repeat, these black Africans who do not want to hear anything at all about Africa, people are committing crimes. Do not forget your roots. Now, somebody else said that Africans are not part of the historical humanity. I think about this other one that yesterday was calling countries in Africa shithole countries. Shithole countries. Shithole. So let us be careful about our identity. I think the time has come for us to also build African identity, African cultural identity that the world must respect. That the world must respect. So when I look into some of these things, we only need to be careful about them. And the only thing I will say should be, let us become the persons we are meant to be, and others will respect us and will command respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. A philosopher once said, his name is G.J. Wano. He said that man has this tendency to predicaments because of limited factors, limited resources, limited information, limited intelligence, limited rationality, and limited sympathy. Do you not think that it would be very necessary and helps at the same time to bring down our educational system and its essence to a normative and cultural base? Let us teach the youth. Now, left from just, I don't even know our cultural base. I don't know most of our cultural values because I was not taught in that way. I'm just beginning to learn what I read books about Igbo culture, African culture.
And maybe that's why you really you refer to the youth as the youths, because even though they can be understood in the singular, they are always in the plural. So there is no homogeneity. So I think in that sense, we have many departments in what we call the youth, many departments. So there is no longer the youth, but the youths. So what should be homogeneous is now heterogeneous. You made a reference to one up, and you know, one up was known for what they call the object of morality. And morality is the quality in the human acts against the acts of man. Actus humanum, human acts against the acts of man, actus hominis. So there are acts that define man as man and not as an animal. So when you come into that, you find out that the major predicament in the object of morality is that man does not have those traits or cultural values that will make him remain a man. You have intrusions and the erosions of all the cultural values that bring out the animal in man. I thank God you tied it up with this issue of education. Any education that is not cultural cannot work. That's why we are still agitating and telling the Minister of Education to change the mood of education in Nigeria today. And I also extend that to other African countries. For us to get a true cultural identity, education must be based on our culture. But you see, without this principle of hermeneutics, it's an intercultural one, how do we come about our collective identity? Because culture must be understood collectively. I must insist on that. So, what education, whether it is informal, formal, or non-formal, must not go against the culture. Because there are things we need that others don't need, and those ones must be included in our educational values, our cultural systems. So I must make it clear, first of all, that education is one of the foundations of civilization. That was why when the white people came, they came to educate us, to civilize us, to Christianize us. At the end of the day, some of these things meant now to colonize us. Because once you are in control of somebody's intelligence, if you can control somebody's mind, that's why even now you're talking about neo-colonialism. They have gone, but they are manipulating our minds, which is unacceptable. They're manipulating us from there. So, and it's uncomfortable. That's why I have made it clear that in the discovery of destiny, there must be a choice, there must be freedom. Destiny is not something that will be given to you. It's not something already fixed. Destiny is something you are going to achieve. So don't wait for that to be given to you. Move forward, take it up and achieve it. That's why I believe in what we call choice. In choice. Where there is choice, there is no operation. And you see, the greatest weapon against the oppressed is the manipulation of the mind of the oppressed by the oppressor. Through that, the oppressor makes the oppressed think the worst things about themselves. So the time has come for emancipation, for liberation, even for deliverance, for salvation. That time has come, and it is now. So I will simply say that no education can really stand or work the while for a people. That's why we are talking about education for a people. It must be cultural. Not education for nobody. It's education for a people. Education for the Igbo people. Education for the Nigerian youth. Education for this, for that. Education for the African youth. Education for the youth. It must be cultural and intercultural. That's why when the West, when they bring their systems of education, that has nothing to do with our culture. So why must we embrace that? It is slavery. It is slavery. So that's why they have no qualms in addressing their fellow human beings as being periodical, not part of the historical humanity, as cheat old countries. So let us be careful about some of these things. So education is a very important instrument of civilization, because it is that really exposes you through intelligence and wisdom to have a knowledge of reality. Again, reality again is inserted in the culture. So that process, the process by which we acquire such learnings that can help us maintain who we are, maintain our norms and our traditions, and alter our social values, bring refinement unto us. So such ways must be rooted in our culture. So I want to challenge every African country right now to go through your process of education and put away anything that is inimical to your culture. Take it away. Take it away. That's why let the people, let the professors come out. Let those who are specialists come out. Generate principles, propound theories that are cultural. You see, but the problem is that name of that unknown habit, no one can give what he has not. How many of them know the culture? How many of them? That's the problem. You cannot give what you have not. So I will insist that we should so that's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. That was the most questions there. But before we summarize the whole thing, as an expert in metaphysics, can you briefly tell us the metaphysical implication of culture on people?
It's good to note that, of course, metaphysics has to do with the study of suprasensible realities. That's why what is the supreme metaphysic? What is the supreme metaphysic? So I will simply say that I will just invite us to reverse what was done, where we have killed God. Let God resurrect. Then that scientific ingenuity that killed God should now include God in this process of technology. Again, that yard that received the body of God, where God was buried, the churches, should also all come out and bring their own light of civilization. That's why I think the churches are, yes, they are trying their best possible, but even though much is taking much advice, the church must come out. That's why I thank God where the political leaders took away schools from the churches. The churches are now recovering those schools from them again. Because the church is the seat of morality. Like if you go into some of these schools or courses. Let me use a course like engineering, for instance. A student can study engineering for 4 years, specialized in that, but may not specialize also in God. So also with the computer science. So the time has come for us to introduce moral philosophy or moral theology into every department of learning, or to put that in the GS, the general section of studies, and it becomes compulsory for every department, every course to bring God into each system, because Jesus Christ is a reality. I think about even the tertiary schools, the secondary schools, even the primary schools, what we normally call moral instructions. How valid are they today? They are being neglected right now. How many secondary schools can boast of having a chaplain, or well, in terms of the various religious affiliations, chaplains that are active, that come to the school every week, that teach these things and enforce them in the behaviors of the people? So that's the problem we are having, that we are yet to bring God completely into what we do. And unless we do that, the secular waves will swallow us completely. So, of course, as a metaphysicist, not just a metaphysician, I will say that let God come again into what we are doing. It will be the foundation. And when God has the foundation, every other thing must fall into place. Amen. That's it.
What is your final advice to the youth as regard to securing the cultural identity?
The first advice is that be the person you are meant to be. Don't try to become another person. Don't lose your virtue as you move with the crowd. Don't lose the common touch as you walk with kings. Do not allow a destiny kidnapper, with destiny hijacker, with destiny destroyer to destroy your destiny. Let your spirit arise from your cultural background, seasoned by the knowledge of God. Be up and doing. That's why there's always the connection of work to destiny and to cultural identity. So it is as you are doing something, culture comes out as you keep on working. As you keep on working, problems will be coming up. You'll be seeking for solutions. As they come up and as you apply solutions, culture develops. So work and work and work. Diligence is very important. Diligence. Be up and doing with a heart for a good work, still pursuing, still achieving. Learn how to labor and to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I will ask the youth not to fear. Stand up. Be bold to demand for your right. Don't allow anybody to manipulate you. That's why not just in Nigeria, we always hear that the future belongs to the youth, the future belongs to the youth, the future belongs to the youth. It's a lie. It's no longer truth. is no longer true. It used to be true. It's no longer true today. The future belongs to the youth. So the time has come for the youth to prepare themselves for the future. And you do that by not becoming a liability, by not becoming a raw material. Make yourself a finished product so that when opportunities come, you see your attainment. Every attainment is a function of assignment discovered and developed. So if you are there that the future belongs to you, so these old heads will be there. And they will give you just pints of salt and coins. And we will send you to go and die for them.